We welcome everyone to the Animals channel. A short story that can cause an attack of emotion even in the most callous person. We are mentally transported overseas to America. No matter how good the shelter is, it's just a shelter. It is good when tailed pupils are fed, treated, cared for and placed in good hands. But all people decide, or rather, their attitude to the case. The usual human indifference, the desire to understand and help. And let it be just a dog. A good friend of the author of these lines once aptly put it, a dog is also a person. Perhaps we should agree with this statement. And now to the point. Dog Roscoe, the most common shelter dog. I came to the shelter very young, almost as a puppy. I even got a nickname here. He was picked up right off the street. The most common situation, absolutely predictable and everyday. But the shelter staff assumed that Roscoe was surrounded by some kind of mystery, some kind of understatement. He stood out sharply from all the other dogs. They seemed to be wide open. They were also picked up from the street, hungry, cold, emaciated. Pulled out of the clutches of the knackers. Fattened, treated. The dogs were filled with gratitude for their salvation, tried to please, made friends with someone from the staff. This is a normal natural reaction. Dogs feel kind to themselves and respond with even more kindness. But Roscoe wasn't like that. He had lived in the orphanage for 3 years, but he had not made friends with anyone. He was always on his own, apart. He always held himself independently, emphatically independently. He accepted the food, but did not crumble in gratitude. Just lived. I am alone against a big hostile world. The employees understood that Roscoe had asked everyone a difficult riddle that had to be solved by all means. But how to do it? Where to start? Well, why can't dogs talk? Surely it would be possible to find out from the dog his whole story. The decision came unexpectedly to make a post on social networks. Post photos, write bright text. There is little hope, but suddenly, the rule of multiple reposts really exists, and it really works. After a while, the phone rang in the shelter. The caller identified himself as a farmer. His farm was located at a decent distance from the shelter, and the call was made more for the sake of clearing his conscience. The bottom line is this: right from the farm 3 years ago, the beloved owner's puppy disappeared. As if he had sunk into the water. They called him, searched for him, but there were 0 results. For a while, the man looked through ads and photos of dogs and shelters and then resigned himself to the loss. Roscoe looks like a missing puppy, but it's hardly him. The farmer was invited to visit the shelter. And now we advise impressionable readers to get handkerchiefs. The man walked to the aviary, the workers opened the door, the dog seemed to shudder, stretched out, greedily sniffing the air. The first reaction is fright and distrust. But suspicion soon gave way to genuine joy. And then what happened. Roscoe, who had had enough of hardships, began to cry. His master also shed tears. A happy ending, a happy reunion years later. And Roscoe turned out to be not Roscoe. His real nickname is Runt Runt, Shorty in translation. The dog's isolation was also explained. He simply remained faithful to his master. I knew that one day the door would open and he would come. So, by a happy coincidence, it happened. For the only time in 3 years, the gloomy and unfriendly Roscoe Rant allowed himself to be petted and hugged. And only a loving owner managed to do this, and no one else. A Christmas story? Absolutely, yes. These two deserve their happiness. Now the faithful dog is already at home, on his native farm. Let's hope that all the troubles in his life are far behind him. Thank you all for watching.